What's going on, everybody? Hey, listen, before we continue in this episode, have you checked to see if you've subscribed yet? You need to subscribe. Come on, if you like these videos and you're enjoying what you're watching, then it's about time that you go ahead and subscribe. Maybe you haven't noticed yet. Check now. Did you? No? All right, go ahead, hit that notification button, subscribe. It helps YouTube to know that you like our content. All right, see you on the next one. Peace.
The first year we worked together 6 months. The year we worked together, her income was over $8 million in residential real estate sales, which turned her business around. Not, high producer at that point, but it was also the only year of her life that she took 5 weeks of vacation in the same year.
See, and this is the thing. This is powerful stuff right here because, just resetting your mind can do this for you, can grant you that type of access.
It does. Okay, so that's great, right, Joel? You'd have to say, wow, that's awesome, those kind of results. The next year, her goal was 10.5 million in sales. She achieved almost $23 million in sales in residential, non-luxury real estate sales.
That's beautiful.
A top producer, loving her life, back to loving what she's doing and why she's doing it and the impact she has on people's lives, helping them find that home or, move out of the home that they've outgrown or whatever it may be, and living in that passion. She does not do social media stuff. She does not do the door knocking. She does not do so many of the things that people say, to be successful in real estate, you got to do this. Well, BS, you do not. If you lean into what feels really good, and this is another nugget that people can look at. If you lean into what feels good, it will start opening up avenues for you to get opportunities you would not otherwise get when you're busting your hump, trying to keep up and doing all of these things, killing yourselves for the sake of a job. And you don't get burned out.
I love it because what you're talking about is taking your passion and then creating pillars in it of purpose. Yeah. Taking your passion and making that purposeful and then ride that thing out, because that's the only way you can really have that type of result right there is being passion filled. But passion, it doesn't always work that way because a lot of times people don't understand what to do with their passion.
Or they might not know what it is because we're so conditioned. I was conditioned it was a great experience for me building up the corporate ladder to vice president of sales. It was great experience helping to help multiple companies who were in or going in bankruptcy to come back into profitability. It was a charge for me. I'm like that. I got that kind of drive when things are going like that. It's where I really get pumped up and stuff and things like that. But man, every step up that corporate ladder hurt my heart because I didn't want to do that. At 22 years old, I knew what I wanted to do, and I didn't see how it fit into that. But I got into the conditioning that I was taught my whole life that a man gets a job and supports a family and hopefully lives long enough to enjoy some time in retirement. That was the conditioning I had. Breaking out of blue collar, going into white collar. I'm the first child in my family to have a college degree. I'm the first one to go into white collar type of a work. And not that there's anything wrong with blue collar, a lot of respect and everything, and a lot of love. My dad raised 5 kids and, my generations passed and stuff. So I'm not knocking it, but I'm saying breaking into that, it was confusing because there was a conditioning that a man gets a job. I was really good at what I did. I was really good at building sales territories and then, dealing with the internal workings and things like that and stuff. So, and everybody would say, man, I don't know why you're not happy. You got it made. You got the position, you got the money, you got all that, but I was empty inside. And so each step up there hurt me. It was a painful thing to do, to the point at one time in my 30s or 40s, as I started abusing alcohol as a way to cope. And that's what so many people do. They'll overeat on food, binge watching TV. And now listen, if you're watching Yellowstone, it's not considered binge watching. And anything else would be. But binge watching TV, overeating, the drinking, it can go to gambling. It can go a million different avenues, right? But we use those things to cope with trying to fit ourselves into this place where we're supposed to fit. That isn't even coming from our heart. It's in that conditioning. So I love meeting somebody that says, I don't even know what I want in life. Good. Because we're going to sit down and we're going to figure it out. And I got road mapping tools to help you. And when those people, when you get that, man, you're just on fire. The two times I see a lot of excitement is somebody that says, I don't even know what I want. Or I had somebody come up to me after an event one time and they said, Joseph, before I met you, I thought I was too old to dream. You help when I'm able to help somebody like that and get on that track. That is so, I mean, it's such a gift. And I'm so honored I get to be a part of that in people's lives. But then there's the other side of it too, Joel, with somebody that knows what they want. They might have taken some steps into starting their own business and get away, or, that great love or whatever it is they want in their life, whatever those desires are, they started stepping into them, but they keep getting bumped back, which is the conditioning. And helping somebody break through that and get that breakthrough moment in their life. I'll tell you, if we got time, I'll tell you another really quick story.
All right, come on.
I got the honor of working with a guy last year. I'll call him Bob for lack of, I don't want to speak his name, could work on confidentiality and stuff. But so when I met Bob, I was like, oh my God, this guy's like a freaking genius, man. I'm going to need a dictionary when I talk to him and stuff, But then as I got to know him before we started working together, it was like the guy had 2 businesses. He was married and had 2 kids, and every area of his life was mediocre at best. His relationship with his wife, his marriage was just mediocre. Both his businesses weren't even producing enough to support his family and stuff on. His relationships with his kids were, I wouldn't say they were torn, but it was just mediocre. They didn't do things together. They weren't that father-son and things like that and stuff, father-sons and stuff. And so the 4th week we were working together, working through the SMT framework, it came out that when Bob was going into the 5th grade, he started a brand new school. And part of the school is he had to take an assessment. So everybody, the first day of this brand new school for him, everybody goes to their class. He went to the principal's office and he got his assessment. He had to go start out there. So the principal gave him his assessment. So he goes, man, look at Bob. You're in the 11th grade reading. You're in college mathematics. Now, this is in the 5th grade. You're in college mathematics. You're down the line. This kid was brilliant. He goes, here, I'm really glad to have you here. Take this and bring it to your teacher. So Bob walks to his classroom and walks in the first time ever. Everybody's sitting down. So he interrupts the class and walks in, and he gives it to the teacher. And she looks at it and she goes, oh, look at this. Oh, Bob's in the 11th grade reading. He's in college mathematics, and was ridiculing this kid and went through the whole thing and ended up saying, well, I guess Bob should be teaching this class. And all the kids started laughing. Now, this is his first interaction. So he goes and sits down, and he spent that year being ridiculed and picked on and teased and bullied all year because of that incident with the teacher. And somewhere inside of him at that young age, well, how old are you in 5th grade?
In 5th grade, you're around 10 years old.
Okay. He decided that nobody would ever see that part of him again. So now here I meet him at 50 years old. And he's still living that promise he made to himself for that long. Do you know within 2 weeks, this guy called me probably 5 times and was having breakthroughs in his marriage. He had breakthroughs in his business. We worked together for 12 weeks at first. By the end of that 12 weeks, he was promoted within the one. He was a realtor, as one of his businesses. He was promoted within there. And then his other business, he was asked to sit on a couple of different boards in the community and things like that, in the associations for the works that he did. His marriage started blossoming, his relationships with his children. So when I talk about that underlying conditioning, a lot of people want to blow that off or make it seem small. But that will determine the destiny of our life. We can, people say you can only go as far as your drive is and stuff like that. I don't agree with that at all. What I've seen is we can only go as far as our subconscious conditioning will allow us to. And that's the reason why some people will start, you'll see them taking off, and all of a sudden they start dropping, and what I've come to find is people will self-sabotage without even knowing it, based on that conditioning. So that Bob gentleman is like loving his life. He was on the phone crying with me when, with these things are happening and stuff like that. Now I check with him 6-7 months later, because I stay in contact with, my clients and stuff. And he's still just soaring, launching and soaring. Yeah. In his life, Joel.
So, I love it. if you just have a little more of time, I wanted to ask you. You mentioned that there was a certain point in time when you started to really your life was being shaped in front of you, and you're heading down this pathway of the subconscious mind, and then all of a sudden you utilize a coping skill yourself, and begin to lean into alcoholism. Tell me about how that ended up happening and how you came out of that.
Yeah, it ended up happening. It wasn't a long process. When I grew up, my dad, he was married, in his early 20s and stuff like that. And they started having kids, and he had 5 of us kids. And he didn't drink. Every once in a while, you'd see him drink a beer, and that was it, So he wasn't out drinking all the time, partying and stuff like that and everything. So it's not like I was modeled to me and stuff. So when I got married, I got married at same age he did and stuff like that. Let's talk about following that conditioning, And I was the same way. It's like I didn't want to drink. I wanted to have friends over and drink pop and coffee and play cards and stuff like that and everything, go camping, fishing, doing all that stuff. And so as I was going through life, and the corporate America was just really, really just weighing on me. And I had gotten, a few promotions by the time must have been my upper 30s, my late 30s, and experienced divorce, from after a 19-year marriage and stuff. And it was just like the final straw, and the whole thing separated from my son, and who was 10 or 11 at the time and stuff, And so it was within a matter of weeks that I was drinking that I could no longer choose not to drink. I got to that point so quickly, like we talk about that crossing that line, right? To where it's a choice and it's an entertainment to like, we no longer have, it was very, very quickly. And I mean, I was blackout drinking and things like that. And there's a lot of things with it, smashing company cars into trees and, things like that happened as a result of it. And it was only within a few years. And then I reached out exactly that beginner mindset as I reached out for help, and I haven't had a drink in over 15 years now.
That's powerful. I mean, just that part is powerful because you're not recovering. I know a lot of times we use the terminology recovering, but you recovered. That was the end of it. And so when you reached out to whomever that was in this beginner mindset, what was the processes that you went through?
It was funny because I started out. I started out going back and forth. I'd ask for help, and I'd be like, I have a lot of fun when I drink, and there's that whole mentality thing, and really what it is it helps me push down a lot of stuff when I drink is really what it was. And so I would be on the wagon and off the wagon, on the wagon, off the wagon for about 2.5 years. And then an event happened. And it's so funny is I had to get my son he played hockey up in Michigan. I coached for a long time and stuff, but he had to get to a hockey practice for the first time of the season with a brand new team and a brand new rink. And I didn't have any vehicle. I didn't have a driver's license. And I had too much pride to ask somebody to drive us. And he missed that practice. And that weighed so heavy on me that I didn't want to live like that anymore. And the next day I reached out and asked for help from the same person I had prior. And it's been going forward ever since. And one of the things I'd like to point out to this is that's one of the greatest experiences of my life. I wrote a book called Life's Lessons. And it's all about looking at the things happening to us in life. And when I take the judgment out of it, there's no good or bad, right or wrong, fair or unfair. And life is trying to constantly show me, teach me. And so when I took that out, I took the judgment out and said, why is this happening for me? I could start seeing the lesson in it. And I needed to go through that to get to where I am today. Without that, I wouldn't be the person I am today. And so everything, every struggle, every upset, every whatever it may be in our life, if we can just take that and understand all it's doing is helping us to define what it is we really want in life. And that's the only use of it. It's not meant to rule our life. It's not meant to put us in a place of struggle forever. It's not meant, all it's doing, its purpose is to help us identify what we do want, because without the dark, we don't see the light. Without the upsets, those upsets help us define what it is we do want by knowing what we don't want. And so when we start using it that way, there's a purpose in those struggles, but it's not, we don't have to live there. All we got to do is look for the life lesson in that and use it to alter what it is we want. That is ultimately what I call a dynamic vision for our life. It helps us define that so then we can start moving in that direction. And as we get excited about that vision and take a step there, it starts taking all the upsets, struggles, and everything else and starts dwindling them because we no longer need them. And we're no longer putting focus and energy and all of that stuff into it. We're charged up and being pulled by our vision rather than pushed by our pain of our struggles.
Man, that is powerful. That is powerful. And I definitely appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, it's like sometimes, in these stories, people have an opportunity to see like the real person behind the magic, And right now, and I don't mean it in magic in the sense of the mysteriousness, but like you've got it going on. And so to share that there was this moment that, you had to think about things, but what you did with that moment is such a great lesson. Because it is that struggle. Even when I'm reading the Bible, there's a lot of times when I'm reading the Bible and I know that David slays Goliath. I know that. Yeah. I've read it so many times. Yeah. I mean, as a little kid, even if you don't believe in the Bible, David slays Goliath. Yes. But you don't realize that he is the one son that is left out alone with the sheep all his days. Yeah. I mean, how did it feel to be like the eighth son and you're the only one who's out there with the sheep and all the other guys are becoming men and they're fighting in armies and they're in the battles. Yeah. And you're this little guy who every single brother looks at you as some ruddy little kid who, is always up to mischievousness. They don't realize that you fought a bear, that you fought a lion. They don't realize you did all of these different things. And that's what you were doing. Like you're the David of this story. You're taking out and it's like, we got to go into two parts. You're the David of this story, know, and everybody just heard about how you slayed Goliath, but now they understand that, hey, you were out there before.
Well, and that's a beautiful analogy you just used because we are all David.
Yes.
But what it is our conditioning will put us as a Goliath. But we need that. We need that to charge up the other side, Jesus needed Judas in his life to carry out what he carried out. And even though he's the bad guy and what he carried out wasn't the hero thing and stuff like that, we need those struggles. We need those upsets. We need those hard times, but only to help us get to the fruits of the gifts of living as the creators that we are. These and even greater things shall we do. Holy smokes, think about that for a minute. These and even greater things shall you do. That's a promise for us.
I love it.
But how few tap into them. One of my favorite quotes by, Marianne Williamson, and I never say it how she says it, but I love it, is she said, it's not powerless that we're afraid of. We're not afraid of being powerless. What really scares us, Joel, is how powerful we really are.
That's it.
That's why I love helping people get through that fear and tapping into that power within them and living through that. And it starts with the inside. It starts with me.
Joey, that just brought us around in circles because that whole poem that she wrote, even your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. That is exactly where I was heading. And now you just closed it out.
How can we help other people to grab hold of their power if we're living in a weaker thing to fit in?
Right. You can't.
And the right people that we're supposed to, I quit worrying about all that. That's part of the whole thing with the conditioning and strategizing and where I've come from a very logical thinker. So I want to figure life out. I want to fix problems. I want to do, make it happen, things like that. And man, I've worked so exhaustively trying to do that. Today, I get to be in a flow and I get to follow creativity. And I'll tell you, Joel, when I was in corporate America, if I had to work past 5 o'clock in the office 2 days in a row, it would kill me. I'd be beat up. I'd be ticked off. I'd be angry. I'd be all this stuff and everything else. There's times I'm right next to my office here is a studio. There's times I'm in the studio till 2, 3 in the morning, just loving it, on fire. And I get done and it's like I can't go to sleep. I'm so excited. That's what following our passion will do. And we'll end up taking the efforts, but we're doing it out of excitement. So it's not exhausting. It's energizing by following that.
That's beautiful. Joey,
Yeah.
you're amazing, dude. How can people get in contact with you? What can they do to get into one of your programs?
Yeah, and the easiest thing somebody can do is I have a free gift that I want to leave for your viewing audience today. And before I say that, let me just say this, Joe. If you're listening to this at all, and you're on this, listen to this podcast, and you hear Joel and you hear the guests he brings on, questions he's asking, if it sparks anything in you, share that with other people. The way we open up the law of receiving in our life is by giving. So give somebody else the knowledge of his podcast and what he's doing here and how the impact is, and help him start growing this thing. And as you do, just doing that will start growing your receiving on what you receive by doing so. As one of my gifts for getting to be here with you today, Joel, is I have a free gift for your listeners. And it's a free book I just published called Align, Manifest, and Transform. And anybody can get a free copy of it. All you have to do is go to, and we can put this in the notes for the thing too, is download.ifgtcoach.com. Remember, the IFGT stands for It's Freaking Go Time.
All right, download. Can you write it inside the chat?
Oh, absolutely.
It said download. It's freaking go time.
IFGTcoach.com. Wow, Anna is quick.
She is. All right, Anna, put that on. I guess put it on the screen too. That would be awesome if you do that. Let me see something.
Yeah, and it'll get people tools. Like, the way I work is, thank you, download.ifgtcoach.com. Yep. And the way I work is I try to give this stuff to as many possible people as I can. And Joel, I don't do anything to promote my business. I don't run ads. I don't do the Facebook ads, all that stuff and everything else. It's all based on attraction. I know when I'm living in my passion and I'm excited, thank you, and I'm excited about what I do and I'm giving people and I'm helping people, the right people all align with, and they'll come to me and we'll have the conversations and and that's how I get my clients. The other thing I'd like to say really quick is I only work with 10 clients at a time. When I first started getting coaching, I would look for somebody who's working with 100, 150 people. And what I realized that coaches doing that, and I'm not knocking anybody, but they're just things I've learned. Coaches that are coaching that way, individuals do not get the personal attention required to bring about those changes.
That's right.
And so I work with 10 clients because I know we can't schedule when somebody's going to bump up against that conditioning. So I can be available throughout the week in between our scheduled call so that they can get a hold of me and we can do shifting right then to move them forward and getting them as much out of the program as possible. The other thing is I don't coach for lifetimes. I'm not somebody who wants to work with a client for years and years and years and years. I want people to get the knowledge, get it understood, have some time in there when they go out afterwards, incorporating it, that they have support along with that, and then move into living that life and whatever that next stage is for them.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, we share a lot of things in common.
Yeah.
A whole lot. Yeah. So listen, everybody, as I told you before, Joey is filled with a whole lot of passion. It's not just fire. I mean, we're talking about passionate fire. Joey, I thank you for being on our show, and I'm grateful for everything that you share with the listening audience today. Do you have anything else that you would like to share before you go?
I'd just like to say that every person that can hear this, you, Joel, Anna, and your entire audience, like, you have such incredible power within you to live life as a king or a queen or whatever you want to, whatever that looks like for you. You have the availability, and it starts with you. It's going to start from that inside and becoming of that person, and then experiencing it on the outside. And it doesn't have to take years to happen either. So just start with that beginner mindset and looking at the things that maybe struggle and what are they helping you see of what you do want, and lean into that. And if I can be of service at all, I'm here. And Joel, I'm just honored I got to be here with you today. This is such an incredible conversation. Thank you.
I am honored as well, Joey. Thank you so much for being on the show. We're going to listen, y'all. This is going to be split up into two. So Anna will split it up. So you'll be able to hear Joey on 2 weeks in a row. Listen, Joey, I'm looking forward to having another conversation with you maybe in a few months.
Absolutely. I love it. And just God bless everyone.
Yeah. God bless you as well, man. And we'll stay in touch.
All right.
All right. So long. Joey, I mean, what can you say? The man is absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. And I love the idea that he's only taking 10 clients, because that means you're going to get all of Joey all the time, and he's going to be there, accessible. And I think that that's really, really important, especially in a time where people actually understand having a coach will make a huge difference inside their life. We see many coaching businesses just expanding, and scaling and scaling. And it's difficult to get that really, really good coach, to get that individual that's able to really help you to break through while they're not trying to help multiple other people. They're running into their own time blocks because they're unsure about how they're going to do what they do. But Joey is making the time. And so I want you all to reach out to him. I want you all to go out and become one of his clients. And I hope that you can get to him while he has an open slot, because he's not advertising it, because he is that good. I mean, this is powerful. What he has left today, I believe that it has the power to change lives. And if you just go back and look at this, rewind it, look at it again, rewind it, look at it again, rewind it, look at it again, and then go to download.ifgtcoach.com. Get your Align, Manifest, Transform book written by Joseph, and you will be satisfied. I believe it 100%. All right. So just keep on going. Keep on going. Remember, as much as it starts with you, it starts with me. Take care.